On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we question monologues and personal hygiene.
But Crowley gets his groove back. Let's do this.
Welcome to Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And this week we're going to talk about Season 10, Episode 22, The Prisoner.
Yep. Well, how you been?
Yeah. Good, I think. I feel like I've done stuff, but I don't know what have I done? I feel like I did
Memorial
something.
Day. We've
Oh,
had,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we've had like 90 days since we last talked, but it's only been like, because we're also doing this later.
I know what we did. I know what I've done, I think. I feel like there's something else too. Yeah, I mean, we had kind of a chill Memorial Day weekend. I got in the pool twice. That was fun. Yay, pool time. I don't know. What else did I do this weekend? I went and ate at a new sushi place in our neighborhood that was really good. And then I went. Yeah, it was really good. And then it was very expensive because we had all the things. And then you have a cocktail and you want more of the things. And
Okay, I'm super jealous of that. I have no idea the last time I had sushi.
Oh man. And then we went and saw Ryan Adams.
Oh, that's right. The 4-hour show.
Yeah. It was a doozy. You know, I'm not a super fan, and I was going with other people that were very excited. And his show is notoriously based on the artist's mood at the time. And so I was kind of intrigued. And then, there was one set. The first set is like him doing everything from this one album, Heartbreaker. And then the second set is the hits. And he does selective covers based on the venue he's at, which that's kind of cool. Yeah. And it was a lot of stories. Entertaining stories, though.
That's good.
Very entertaining stories.
I couldn't tell the difference between Brian or Ryan Adams, so
I said that like 5 times, and everybody, Dave kept getting mad at me. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, no.
Is he in the Karate Kid?
Apparently Ryan Adams was in a band called Whiskey Town, which is a very popular alt country band who had a massive rivalry with the old 97s, but they're cool now. That's the story, and I think Dave's told me that like 12 times probably. Not just in the last time leading up to this show, just in general. He's told me this story. And God bless Dave. I'm just giving him shit. But yeah, so I had that awareness going in. And he covered all 97 songs. So it's kind of cool. But yeah. So no, it was much more entertaining than I anticipated. And then most of it just kind of hung out, got some pool time, went to show and went to the mall. Yeah. That was my
exciting.
Sure. It was a fairly chill holiday weekend. I kind of needed that, though.
That's good. Yeah. Rest is good.
Yeah. Weird. What have you been up to? What you got?
I have been banging my body against things. Yeah. So yeah, it's just been a lot of aerialist stuff. And so I got to go to Austin a few times to go to my old gym, and got to meet up with some of my old instructors, and one of them had a workshop called Lions and Snakes. And that was all about rolls, which are this class was about the Lyra hoop, which is the big round metal thing. And so you're rolling around it after you get into this pose, which is called lion pose. It's one knee's hooked on and one shoulder's through. That's one pose. And then you're just running up. But so, yeah, my feet and my vagina and my thighs and my calves got severely covered in bruises that day. And I rented an Airbnb for that night, which was so wannabe Instagram fabulous, but half-ass. Like, so we, like, the pool that was surrounded by a deck, but written on the deck in marker because the deck was made out of, like, plywood. Like, don't stand on this. Don't even think about sitting here. Because it was just around this pool that I'm pretty sure somebody made by hand. Like, this, it was, like, everything. I was pretty sure this was a DIY pool. Yeah. So that was fun. But they also had a jacuzzi, which is why I got this Airbnb, because I have no bathroom in my house. And I knew that after banging myself on a hoop, I was going to want to sit in a bathtub. And I did. And that was great. But I couldn't put any bath things in there because they said it would clog their drains. Ooh. And also they said no glitter, zero glitter. They were very anti-glitter at that house. But They had lots of pictures of boobs and butts and people smoking weed. So my jam. And then I went to Ariel summer camp on Monday, and there was part of it was invented apparatus jam. And so circus people, like to put different things together and then jump on them and hang from them and see what happens. So they just basically had those spread out through the gym, and I got to play on the cube, which is what it sounds like. It's like it's a cube made of metal rods. So instead of being on my circle, I was on a big square.
That's
and
neat.
getting and trying to figure out how do I do that without hitting my head. And it balances in different ways and it spins in different stuff. Then one was the hoop, and it was perpendicular to the ground instead of hanging vertically. It was horizontal. It was horizontal to the ground because it was hung by four straps instead of one or two. Usually, a hoop is hung by one strap. You can't have two, but so it was hung horizontally by four. So it was like being from a chandelier. And my instructor said, she'd been watching a Cirque du Soleil thing, and she was like thinking it was very similar to like what they were doing in their chandelier at the show. So that was really fun to do. It hurts a lot. Like I was like trying to starfish on it, and that hurt a lot. Then there was another one that was a baby hoop, and then like a strap, and then a bigger hoop. So then you had like two hoops to play with, and I've seen that one before. So that was fun. And I have enough hoops that I could do that with. I was like, oh, that could be a fun thing to learn. And then there was like two bungee straps. So like it was like being in straps, but they were bungee. So they were like super bouncy. Mm-hmm. So that was fun to play in. There was rope, which fuck you, I'm not in gym class. But the 75-year-old lady who was in my class was like, and she's just like up that rope. And I was like,
I never could climb a rope.
Yeah, no. And I was like,
they tried to make me do it. They tried to make us do it in the Army.
Yeah, no. And I'm terrified of it. Like, I have such trauma from it that I know, like, it's just, no.
I think we ever did it at school. We definitely Army.
Yeah. And then they had like this huge, I forget what it's called. It's basically you take fabric and like a silk fabric or a hammock, and instead of doing it, so it basically hung like a hammock, but it's giant, like a giant fucking hammock of aerial fabric. That's, like, I don't know how to explain how big it was, but just like 20 feet or something, so it was like a giant swing, and that was super fun to play in. Then she also brought out this tube that was just this long piece of fabric that she had sewn all the way down the sides, and then the woman with glasses just got in, and she was like being a ghost, and it was really fun. So yeah, I spent that was how I spent my holiday, and I was like, I'm gonna pay to go. And then we had like, well, honestly, what was more uncomfortable than, which just playing in those things are fine, but the second half was with the woman who was like my first aerial instructor, who is a burlesque performer and an aerialist, and it was all about performance, right? So we had to keep choreographing routines and then presenting them to the class. So that was why I signed up for this, because I am so afraid of performing this stuff, and so it was like the baby step of okay, like let's get the tips. And like she was also like talking about lines and things, and learning just how to make your performance look better artistically and visually. And then I also learned there's an aerial Olympics, and they have their age groups are like 10 years at a time, right? So it's like there's like little kids, and then the adults it's like 20 to 30, and then 40 to 50 and 50 to 60, instead of just being a big adult group, which is kind of awesome because that means like I really think that narrows down how many people I would be competing against. So like I'm okay with winning by default.
There you go.
Or second place because there was two of us.
There you go.
Yeah. So also I just, like not, I'm not pro competitive things, but I am a nerd who likes to be judged and told like what I'm doing correct and what I'm not doing correct. And I like getting A's, right? Yeah. Like external validation is important, but also if you're doing something like this,
you want to
critiqued is also helpful. It's a helpful thing.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So I'm like, this is kind of cool to learn about. So it's something I'm like, hey, let's add something else to my schedule as I'm like sitting here so tired. Like I don't have time to like go to the goddamn grocery store. Like I washed my hair today because I smelled. And, so I don't know. It sounded fun. So that is what I did, and then I went and got a massage a couple of days later. So I didn't. So I wasn't broken. So I could move.
I got an ice bath.
Because you got a fun ice barrel.
We do have an ice barrel, so
like
that's
a hillbilly.
Interesting. It is very hillbilly feeling, except for the fact that
you can go with that pool.
There we go. There we go.
All right. I don't think. Okay, I don't think there's any Supernatural news, but Countdown, their release date came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
I want to say it's like mid-June, June 25th, something like that.
Yeah, so they posted a trailer for it as well.
Oh, I haven't watched the trailer yet. I know Jensen though was saying that it's a very similar to Dean character, so that he thought people were gonna like it. So I don't have any TV to watch right now, so I'm like, please come out, Countdown.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I'm watching right now. We're still watching a whole bunch of I don't know. I'm still watching
crappy reality TV.
No, there's only one crappy reality show I watch. Just one. 90 Day. Yeah, we started Deli Boys. That's about the only new thing I guess on ours.
I will say I have been watching Big Bang Theory, which was one really weird because I went to this event that was at a place in San Antonio called Black Potion, and it's a gaming bar, so like a tabletop gaming place, and it was like in a back room, like doing anything. And they have comedy there, and I was like, what? Like it's all in this Woodlawn area that I love with San Antonio, but I don't spend enough time on, and. But I come out of this back room, and when I gone in, that like the place had been pretty empty, and apparently it was tabletop game night, and it was packed full of nerds. There was like 50 nerd boys there, and like 2 girls, and I'm like, ah! It was like walking out into Big Bang Theory, like into the comic shop, and then on one of the FBI's, the guy who played Stewart on Big Bang Theory was an informant on that who gets like shot between the eyes within the first 5 minutes of it. So I'm like watching him like on Big Bang Theory, then I'm like, in like 10 years, the job you're gonna get is gonna be on this television show, and you're gonna get shot in the eyes. It was very disturbing. But anyhow, so
there's a little burger spot by us occasionally, like locally owned, like a DJ owns it, like this burger shop that's really good. They smash burgers, but every once in a while, like I forget how often they're doing it, but they've been doing like Magic the Gathering nights, and I think that's hilarious and fun.
Yeah, I know.
That's rad.
And one of my friends was like, "Don't judge." I'm like, I'm not judging the nerds.
I'm allowed to be amused and still like cheer for them.
Some of them were hot. Like they were hot nerds in there. Like, I should have been like, okay, maybe I'll open Tinder to see who's here, because some of them were super tattooed dudes, but there were also a lot of. A
lot of stereotypical nerds.
A lot of people who like fit the bill. But I mean, they're my people. Like I can't be judgy of them. I do a podcast on the television show Supernatural. Like I really don't think I can be like calling anybody's nerd card here.
No.
So speaking of Supernatural,
there we go.
And
segue. Good job.
So. This week's episode, we started along our intro, but whatever, you love us. So this is The Prisoner, right? And so the episode's title comes from the Iron Maiden song, The Prisoner, which is based on the British TV show of the same name. And so I went and watched the video, and it starts off with the intro to the prisoner where they're like, your number is blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I have no number. And so they play that intro to the TV show every time as their walk on, right? Mm-hmm. Before they have that song. And then I'm like, do they have to pay like every time they play that opening to the TV show as their intro? But then I also just realized that I kind of just wanted all of their clothes from this 1983 video. Bruce Dickinson had on a tight red red tank top that was and some kind of spandex leggings and this wide leather belt and then a wrist gauntlet. And I was like, yes, I would totally rock that. Then Steve Harris had on this black and white vertical striped sleeveless top tee that was like tight. It was so good. I'm like, where the fuck can I get that? And then I just started kind of like thinking about, how is Dickinson even hitting those high notes? Like, that's ridiculous. Nobody should be hit those. And then I just went on this like rabbit hole where I learned that once in 2005's Ozfest, Sharon Osbourne had all these people come out and throw eggs at Bruce Dickinson and like took over the PA system to have it chant Aussie, Aussie, Aussie when they were coming on and off, and then kept fucking with their sound. And it was this whole crazy scandal, and I didn't know that happened.
I didn't know that.
I know.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was gonna do a whole. I decided to stop. We have a lot to talk about today, because that's a summary of that side quest. But yeah, so there was this whole thing and it was like Sharon that was doing it, and like,
Sharon.
And some of the things she said were kind of mean, but she's just like both her and Ozzy have said that he's a dick, and so I don't know. I love a rock feud, and right? So like. Yeah, I think that one's worth digging into if you want some time. Like, just kind of Google Iron Maiden versus that, and then like there was this whole thing about, because that was the 10-year Ozfest, and like Sabbath was like, because Ozzy was playing with Sabbath, and so was Sabbath and Maiden. It was this huge thing. I didn't know about it because I was living in New York and living like a real rock and roll life, but whatever. Anyhow, all right. So that's the story of The Prisoner, and listening to the lyrics of the song too, it makes sense. There's a lot of it's about, I'm breaking free, and like you're people not owning him, and the past being in the past. So this was episode 22. So we're one episode away from the finale of this season. It first aired May 13th, 2015. It was directed by Thomas J. Wright, who we last saw in this season with episode 2, Reichenbach, which I learned was the Moriarty Sherlock Holmes battle scene at the Falls. And this was also written by Andrew Dabb, who also wrote that. So thank you guys for teaching me that came up in an episode of Watson. So I was like, I know what that is.
I know what they're talking about. Ha.
And so Andrew Dabb, though, we also saw him this season, right? The Things We Left Behind, and episode 17's Inside Man. All right. So we started off with a school getting out.
Yeah, and the school is called Stein Hall. It was established in 1915. And we're in Shreveport.
Is that the school, or is the name of the building?
The building, I don't know. Okay. But a building on the campus. And so these kids are exiting. It's like this, it's high school is what it looks like. And the stereotypical bad boys are going to
high school, but it's preppy, rich kids private school.
Yes. And the stereotypical bad boys are teasing the stereotypical nerdy Stein, who may have been on his way to play Magic the Gathering. I'm just kidding.
And I don't know. I mean, they're stereotypical, but they're also just like, especially for 2015, they're like white boys trying to be hood. Yeah. And they are like picking on this kid and like being like, man, have you even seen a boob? And I'm like, oh, are they still doing that? Like,
I know. It was so lame.
But then...
And the ringleader has a terrible tattoo on his face.
Oh, they're also, he's so bad tattoos that look like he's got a sleeve, like an actual sleeve.
It's like a flaming skull's bad. Anyways,
so, but the kid doesn't back down. In fact,
no.
He kind of rips him a new one, and it's fucking hilarious.
It's so good. So good. It makes fun of him for pretending to be hood, with his, $100 haircut and hybrid keys for his car. Bets his dad's a dentist and mom's full of Botox, and they both bang the pool boy. Damn.
And then he, like, as he's going off, he's like, you're afraid of black people, even Will Smith. And this was before Will Smith slapped the slap that was heard around the world. Damn. Right? So some nerd power is going on here.
And even, like, the burns are so sick.
Yeah.
That this ringleader bully's like little like backup dudes are laughing at him.
Yeah. Like, which is always the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If they're that good. And he's big mad. And so he's going to call this kid who we figure out is a Stein. Remember the Stein family. He's going to call him a bitch and shove him.
Yeah, from behind too, right? But then there's a limo pulling up.
So this is the debadged Mercedes. And we saw this because I had trouble identifying it. It was in the last episode. So we know this is a Stein vehicle. So it's a Mercedes, but the badges have been removed. So that means like the circle with the 3 lines, that's gone.
The emblem.
Kind of fascinating. Yeah, that's gone on the whole car, on the wheels too. Just saying, it's kind of crazy they did that.
Is that a security thing? Like I don't know.
It's probably, I don't know. It's probably
is that a rich person thing that I don't understand.
I'm going to say it's a rich person thing. It's a branding thing, I bet.
It's not like the place where I took my car to get my tire patched on Friday and or whatever that was. And they're like, your tires are bald. And I'm like, he's like, she just wants to get home. It was such a great tire shop. It was a small tire shop in Austin, and they were having such terrible drama. I felt so bad for the manager, and he was trying so hard. Anyhow, so we've got the Mercedes pulling up.
Yeah, and I believe this is Eli who exits the Mercedes.
Fuck him. And so, at some point, I had to pull the transcript to go look at which of these freaking Louisiana Southern boys were who.
They do look alike. The guys playing Eli and Eldon especially is so rough. Anyways, so it's Eli, and he's like, "Is there a problem?" And then the bully kid starts to answer, and he's like, "Wasn't asking you, dickbag." I think it's funny. I appreciate it. He called him a dickbag. So there we go. And so we find out that the young Stein that attends the school is Cyrus, and they are going to leave.
Yep. And later we see wannabe Eminem walking down the street while the Mercedes follows him.
Yeah, he's being tailed. And he realizes he's being tailed, so he tries to slyly run into the alley to hide, but he runs smack into another Stein.
Literally.
Eli. Yeah, runs straight into Eli's chest. And he's like, I don't have any beef with you.
So this one was Eli. Okay. So
yeah, I think it's still Eli. I think we are still fucking with Eli.
Eldon doesn't have an arm.
Correct. So we don't have Eldon yet.
You can identify, I've gotten to the point where I have it in my brain. Eldon has no arm.
Yes. So it's Eli till we see Armless Man again.
Or another cousin that we don't have a name.
Well,
I'm assuming it's Eli.
Yes. And so, and then all of a sudden somebody reaches over his head from behind and puts a plastic bag on his fucking head and suffocates this kid.
Which I think is overreacting, but okay. So he gets bagged.
Yes! That's terrible. Is that his word? Bagged? He gets bagged.
I just made it a word. I don't know. That's what I called it. So he gets bagged.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, eek. And of course it's a clear bag. Do people really have those laying around? I'd have a grocery sack maybe, but those are usually not clear.
This is part of their MO, so I feel like they have a kit, right? Because
we
see them do this more than once. So they have probably before one of those minions' jobs is to go out and buy those bags, and then to make sure everybody they didn't have Amazon then, so somebody had to go to a store and buy those, and then make sure that everybody had them and that they didn't run out. Because if you ran out, then the Steins were going to kill you. Clearly. So then we go from this upsetting thing to the woods, to something that is upsetting for a different fucking reason. And they're making a funeral pyre for Charlie, and they start having memories, and I immediately just started bawling.
Yeah, and we've got Patty Griffin playing. I mean,
which is like that makes every Texas girl cry. They're just like, you just found the thing that just clicks my menstrual driven hormones right now, and it's just it's
really sad.
But
but then you throw some boy drama in there because Sam and Dean are mad at each other. This is not we are uniting to say farewell to Charlie moment at all.
No, it's a very bad funeral scene.
Bad funeral scene. And Sam says that he's going to miss her and he's sorry, and Dean snaps and pops off and says that he needs to shut up. He got her killed, and he doesn't get to apologize.
Yeah. And Sam's going again, saying dude, we're just trying to help you. And then of course is just I don't need help. Sam again tries to justify it, and Dean is just digging it.
He is not. And then he says that Sam should be up there on the pyre, not Charlie.
What? Dude?
The fuck?
You went too far, Dean. Over
the line. That was too fucking much. And so he's like, yep, y'all, you, Castiel, in the book, all that fucking ends now, is what Dean says. And he's gonna go find whoever did this and rip them apart and everything and everyone they love. And he's out.
Yeah, he's going on his vengeance party. And Sam was just like, dude, is this you or is this the mark? And Dean's just like, doesn't matter. Which is why he should be Batman. I mean, he is Batman, but this is clearly like him auditioning for Batman here. Yeah. So then we go from this. We're like, okay, so this horrible Hunter's funeral for Charlie has happened. So this is happened. Which is not the only bad thing. Anyways, so we go from that to the video game.
Yeah, and Cyrus Stein is playing online video games with his friend. And his friend's like, hey, you're still moving to LA? And he's like, hell yeah, I am. Fuck this. My family's cuckoo. And then his friend's like, oh, do they know? And he's like, hell no. They would kill me if they knew I was trying to leave. They are scary.
Literally
weird.
Kill me.
Scary weird. And then Eli interrupts his game.
Sounds like a compliment to me, but scary okay. Weird. Yeah. I mean.
Well, Eli interrupts to say that his dad wants to see him. So he does not look stoked about this at all. But we cut to the lab where it's Eldon missing his arm and getting talked to by, Monroe. Monroe is.
I called him the patriarch at first, and then Monroe once he came back, and I was reminded.
Yeah, and he wants to know about the book, and he's like, Eldon's like, look, I may have fucked up on the book, but I've got a fucking a treasure trove for you because I was in the goddamn bunker. The bunker is full of all the magic stuff.
Yep. And he's like, I did not even have time to wash my shirt. I am still wearing the gross shirt that I used to massacre Charlie in.
Yeah.
And then lost my arm. And I just have not had time to put a t-shirt
no time for
or
that.
Take a shower.
None.
And yeah.
I'm sure he smells so gross.
I had to smell so bad.
Mm-hmm. So Eli and Cyrus come in and we pull back a curtain. And who is there? Bound and gagged, but awake. On the gurney, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But it's the fucking bully kid.
The surgery table. I don't know. Yeah. So that's going to bug me. So he's there. They're just like, he's trash and spare parts. And I'm just like, why is this cartoon character nurse here? Why do they have a blow up doll as a nurse? Like, I don't like... The only female in the entire Stein world is a blow-up doll. Sorry, the woman who played that. I'm done. You were fine. The way you were dressed in this was not great.
I went to Spirit Halloween and bought a nurse costume.
Yeah, it's Jessica Rabbit in a nurse costume. So shockingly, Cyrus doesn't want to cut up a human being.
No, he's like, nope, I don't really want to do this. And Monroe's like, this is your legacy. You're soft and it ends now. And do this or I will. And basically he grabs Cyrus' hand, puts the scalpel in it, and forces him to cut into this kid's chest.
Well, he threatens that he's going to kill him too. I think so that was there. And they do not sedate their patient, which besides being obviously cruel, seems terrible to work on.
Well, it just seems inefficient.
I would be like, no, don't cut too much. I know you can't see this in the audio, but I'm shaking my chest in a very aggressive manner.
Even if you're tied down, you're gonna wiggle and stuff.
Yeah, it just seems like it would, and I think your body would just go into shock, and you would probably pass out.
So it probably wouldn't last long, but yeah, still seems like. I mean, I know they would try to teach. You've already terrified this person, suffocating them. I mean, do you really need to scare? I mean, is there any point at this point?
It just seems like bad medical practice. Yeah. Anyways. So, not sedated, gets cut into his chest by Cyrus.
Yeah. And we cut to Dean, who is on the phone getting Rudy to...
Someone named Rudy.
It's implied that it's another hunter of some kind, I guess.
Rudy. Yeah.
To run the license plates that he saw on the Stein vehicle. And...
because he is at the Blackbird Motel.
Yes, and the plates are registered to Eldon Stein in Shreveport with no actual address, which is weird.
So you can tell I've been watching Big Bang Theory because I said it's registered to a Sheldon Stein in my notes.
So we cut to Rowena and Castiel, who are still in this whatever the warehouse church thing is that Sam put them in.
The hideout.
They're still there. And she's talking about, oh, you're fascinating. An angel rejecting heaven.
Yeah, and she says it's like a fish who wants to fly or a dog who wants to be people. And I'm like, come on. We all know dogs who want to be people and dogs who want to be cats and dogs that want to be other things. Like dogs want to be things just like people. So anyways, Cass thinks he's a lot like a people and she's just like,
Yeah. So Sam comes in and we are reminded that these two don't know what's happened to Charlie. So, because Castiel asks, where's Charlie? And Sam just shakes his head. And so Cass is now upset. He should have gone after her, blah, blah, blah. And Sam's like, the Steins did it. And Dean knows and he's going after them.
Yeah, and of course Sam is blaming himself, and Rowena has some sort of magical eyeshadow primer, and the green is still on, and her hair is still moisturized, and it's not at all frizzy because she's a witch. And then Cass is just like, I would be happy to kill Rowena because she just called me a fish.
Yes. And Sam's like, well, wait a minute. We need to track Dean first. And then while I'm pulling my phone up to track Dean, I have an email from Charlie. It's the upload she was sending from the toilet. Not like using the toilet, but like when she was...
While she was in the bathroom, she sent this. And luckily she didn't have any problems with the size of the file being too big and like it didn't get kicked back. And he was able to download the entire thing.
It's crazy. Didn't make it go to some stupid drive link that you weren't added to and you got to change accounts.
Yeah.
Anyways. We've all been there.
Oh, the 90s. I guess this is the 90s. It was not, but it feels like it. Anyhow, so...
He shows Rowena because they've cracked the code.
And she can now read every last word of the Book of the Damned.
Mm-hmm. So Sam verifies that means that can you cure the mark of Cain? And she's like, she should be able to do that if she can read the book. So Sam tells Cass to watch. You need to go watch Dean and make sure that he doesn't go too far in his cuckoo mark vengeance plan. And so, but Sam is going to see this through because despite everything that's happened, he thinks this is the best plan because now they have the cipher and it's fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he has to do this because when Sam was out there and lost, Dean did whatever he could to save Sam. And Dean is his everything. And he has to do it. Otherwise he's going to be black-eyed demon.
Yeah, this road ends in black eyes and blood. Title of my next album. So
I was like, I should wait for you to say that one.
So Rowena, though, is refusing to read this book until Sam carries out his end of the bargain. Kill Crowley!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she can read it. She didn't say she would read it. Shifty. Anyways, so she's like, no, you got to do this now. And you need me, you're going to need my spells anyway, so come on. And she's like, and he's trying to delay. Sam's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to do this shit first. She's like, whatever, Dean's a time bomb, go kill my son.
Time bomb. And then, so we go from that back to the Steins.
Yeah, and we see a lab full of body part specimens in red liquid. And I'm just going to say this liquid looks really like blood, and I don't think that's what usually the liquid that you put organs in.
Yeah, this isn't where in my notes. At some point in this, like, I start talking about how cool this lab is, but I'll just, like, shit. Like, at this point, I'm just like, how? Like, I finally noticed how cool it was. Like, I just hadn't been paying attention. I'm like, look at all those wet specimens. Like, those are really cool. And then the things that are just, like, in the walls that are highlighted, like, yeah, I like this lab.
Yeah. Well, Eldon has a new arm with a bad tattoo on it. So he has taken the bully kid's arm. The kid's dead. Cyrus is very, very sad and covered in blood. And Monroe congratulates him. And this as he stares at the dead kid. But he won't make him eat the heart. That was just an old country tradition.
That's nice of them, right?
Yeah. Maybe he was hungry, though. Maybe he wanted to. I'm kidding. So Eldon is taking a very sad Cyrus out of the room with him.
Yeah. And then they zoom in on his arm, which looks like it was stitched up by a toddler with yarn.
Really
and I
weird.
know,
Like, y'all
you're
are supposed to
trying
be
to be
pros.
Frankenstein, but I'm like, have y'all not learned how to like stitch shit yet? Like, you've been doing this for centuries.
Yes,
like, can you not do it
weird.
like a good like I don't know what surgery stitches are, but
anything better than that.
Anything better than that. So we go from that and we cut to baby rolling into Shreveport, which is really the corner of Matthews Avenue and Ulster in Vancouver. But they make it kind of look like
sure. And Dean gets pulled over immediately.
Yeah, he gets lit up as soon as like he like crosses like this.
Yep. They've been watching for him. I'm just saying. Anyways, and he gives the name Ashley J. Williams, which is a reference to Evil Dead. That's Ash. Anyway.
Yeah.
And apparently I read something on Supernatural Wiki that they wanted him, and I think we might have talked about before, but just a reminder that they wanted Bruce Campbell at one point to potentially be in the Winchester family.
Would have been fun.
Yeah. Anyways, Sheriff.
Anyways, so
they get him out of the car.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why are you pulling me over?" They're like, "Your taillights are out." And they're like, "What?" And then it's the old stereotype where the other cop starts smashing taillights on baby, which is just mean and sad, and Dean's very upset about it.
Yes, because he's violating baby.
Yeah.
Then he gets charged with assaulting a police officer because he gets upset about that. Number one, don't talk to cops. It's not going to help you. Number two, why is it worse when the accent is like a cop is like a Louisiana deep south? I would say it's because of the cop who wanted to arrest me in Baton Rouge and I was trying to flee that bar. But I think it's really because of the Dukes of Hazzard. Like, I really think it's because of, like, that
Boss
sheriff and
stuff.
Roscoe. Yeah, like, I think that maybe is just, like, you dug into my brain. So
that's funny. Yeah, they violate baby and his civil rights. Anyways. So we cut to Crowley at a really cute diner.
The sheriffs did not have body cams.
No, they did not. So we cut to a diner where Crowley is enjoying a really great cup of coffee, apparently, courtesy of Seth. Yay, and we'll talk about who this isn't when we get to cast. But
oh my god, this diner. Why don't I have this diner? Like, one is beautiful. It's just got like atomic stars like everywhere. It's so good, and the food looks really great. And apparently Seth had learned to make this coffee in Ecuador.
Yeah, apparently Seth, our waiter, is learned. He's been all over the world, because if you can fry up a decent burger, you can work almost anywhere.
Which is true, kids. Get a skill, travel the world.
Yeah. But his dream is to go to Asia next. And Crowley's like, "Oh, that's your dream? That's interesting. Guess what? Let's talk." Because he's going to make a deal and get this kid there because he likes this guy's coffee.
Well, he says, "I'm in the business of making dreams come true." And Seth is like, "That's creepy." Because it is. Like, you should, like, men who are like a significant years older than you telling you that they want to make your dreams come true. Yeah, Crowley, I don't think he thinks you're a demon. I think he thinks you're trying to pick him up. Anyhow, so the phone rings and it's from Not Moose.
Not Moose. And we hear Dean's voice asking him for help. The call ends, and then immediately from the same Not Moose number, which is Dean's number, comes a text with an address in Kansas. So, which is weird, because we all know that Dean's in Shreveport.
Correct. So what's going on? Yep.
Sus.
So we go from that to the sheriff's station, where the cop is going through Dean's IDs.
Ozzy Osbourne, Lemmy Kilmister, Freddie Mercury.
We're not explaining who those are.
No. And they're all in the cigar box. And he's like, 17 fake IDs and a trunk full of guns and knives and ninja stars. Who are you?
Which means the trunk has been violated.
Trunk's been violated too.
And he slips and says, like, they said you were a pro, which indicates that, we already knew, but that, but somebody had set these corrupt sheriffs onto Dean. But
it's funny. I really enjoyed this scene, which is like not because I don't know. It's layers. I just think it's a cool scene where Dean's like, I'm going to get out of here in about 30 seconds. That's who I am. And he gets laughed at by this deputy, and he's like, so Dean he's handcuffed, knocks the jar of pens on the floor.
So he takes a cat strategy and he says, "Fuck this mug," and he knocks it off the table.
And then when the deputy gets on the ground to pick them up,
like an idiot. Like, he clearly just said, I'm getting out of here in 30 seconds. Watch me knock this mug off of here.
He falls for the bait. And Dean is able to put him in a shoulder lock and make him give him the keys. Pretty good.
Yeah. And then he stomps his throat with his boot. And I do not like that at all.
Yeah. And then he goes to see the sheriff, and he's who's talking on the phone about Dean, clearly. So Dean has a pistol and points it at the sheriff and wants to know who he's talking to. And so Dean just hits him in the face until he's willing to tell him that it was the Stein family who runs this fucking town.
With the gun. He pistol whips him. He doesn't just hit him, he's pistol whipping him.
With the gun.
But he does do it once for a baby, so, maybe. But who he was talking to, also shockingly, was Daddy Monroe. Mm-hmm. And Monroe is Eldon's daddy. Ew. It's even worse when Southern sheriff, like, he is used the word boy and daddy now. And, like, ew.
Mm-hmm. But he says that the Steins own this town. They are, quote, practically gods. And Dean's, I kill gods.
Which is actually true.
Not factually inaccurate.
Yeah, that's literally true. So then we go from that scene to the meetup point for Crowley.
Yeah.
And not Moose's call person.
Sure.
Not Moose.
Not Moose. Yeah. Not Moose. I don't know. Anyway, so Crowley's there and calling out for Dean. And so Sam shoots him with a bullet that has a devil's trap on it and shows him how he was tricked.
I'm the original deep faker.
Yeah. And then Crowley asks, does Dean even know about this? Because they're friends. And Sam's like, no, we're not friends. Everything's your fault, including the mark of Cain. This is all your fault. It's all your fault, Crowley.
All Crowley's fault.
And Crowley's like, look, I'm not scared of the knife that you're holding right now. And Sam's like, no, you don't have to be scared of that. But here's this hex bag from your mama.
Oh, and he puts it in his pocket and she said to tell you she should have taken the 3 pigs. Ooh!
Yeah. And he starts collapsing on the ground in pain.
All Sam watches. And we cut from there back to our plantation,
where Dean is killing all the Stein's guards.
Just stabbing and shooting. And he has a silencer on, which on that gun looks horrible. Yeah, it's just not a good look for that pistol. Use something else for that.
Yeah. But he makes his way into the house, and the second he steps into the foyer, he's got the foyer, right? I don't know. He's got the lights turn on, and there's a whole bunch of dudes with guns on the stairwell pointed at him.
I think it depends on how expensive it is, whether or not it's a foyer or a foyer. Well, I think I have a foyer.
Okay.
But with this magnificent staircase, because it is an epic staircase, that is a foyer, probably.
Well, Monroe casually descends the stairs behind all of these armed gunmen. And
Dean gets bagged.
Yeah.
This is when I made it a verb. So once it happens twice, I'm like, now it's a verb.
Now it's a thing. Yeah.
So we go back to our meetup.
And Crowley is officially on the floor now, saying that he thought that Sam was the smart one, and that he's insane for even considering working with Rowena. And Sam's like, oh, don't worry, I don't fucking trust her.
Just die already.
But yeah. And then Crowley's going to start, talking about how that's what I get for trying to be the good guy. I've been trying to make changes in hell for the last year. And I thought if I'd be better, maybe I'd feel something again. And Sam's like, what the fuck ever? You've done so much bad shit, killing innocents, killing people I loved. And your accent and your suit and your snark, you're still a monster. He's going to watch him die.
Like all the rest of them. And then Crowley agrees. He's done horrible, evil, messy things. And then, for the first time in Supernatural, we see that Crowley's eyes glow red. And then he says, I have loved every damn minute. Fuck yeah, hail Crowley. And he pulls out his bullet, and then he thanks Sam for reminding him who the fuck he is, and he flings him across the room.
Yes.
At least someone in this episode has fucking balls, I think, is like, well, I'm just like, okay, thank you.
It's someone that's not a sad sack or...
Yeah, you're not a sad sack, not a psychopath. He's just being like, I know who I am. Get off me.
Yeah, and we have Sam tries to fight back, but it doesn't really work, and is informed that he's only alive because Crowley allows it, and that he should tell the ginger whore, aka Rowena, that he gave her a chance to walk away, and she spat in his face. So
ginger whore is the title of my next sex tape. I'm not a redhead anymore, but you never know. I could put on a wig. But so she spat in his face, and she's never going to see him coming. So Crowley is coming after Rowena.
Yeah, he big mad. So
which is weird. Like, I hate the family fighting between the Winchesters, but I love the family fighting between Crowley and Rowena. Oh.
That's way more fucked up. Like brothers fight. They've got this weird dynamic and all this, like they grew up different and all this kind of stuff. But like a mother and son, that's fucked up.
The mom who tried to sell him for 3 pigs, I don't know.
And then he's trying to murder him?
Yeah, it's just so much more delightful. I don't know. So we go back.
That's the word. Delightful is the word?
So we go from that back to the plantation, and this is where you finally get that look around the library, because he's like strapped to this table, gurney, whatever we're gonna call it, and this
operating
is where you
table.
really get it. Yeah.
And Monroe is standing over him, mocking him for thinking that this plan would work. And Dean's like, it usually does. And what do? Play Operation, Monroe's favorite game.
Yeah, and it's just worse that he's like stuck to a table having to listen to a monologue.
Yeah, but he's like, you shouldn't do this. Do you see this mark? It means I can't die. I'm not bargaining with you. You just literally can't kill me. And if you try, I will have black eyes and then y'all will die. So this is like not a good plan.
Yeah, but the Steins think this is great. Like Monroe was like, you can't die. You're like a perfect lab rat. Let's cut you open.
Yeah. And Dean's like, maybe, but maybe you like unstrap me now, then maybe not everybody will die. Maybe. So they gag him. They're not into that. So they get the scalpel, and they don't take his shirt off. They're just gonna like scalpel through his t-shirt. It's a weird choice.
Again,
weird choice.
Y'all surgery. Like, I don't understand.
I thought they were pros. Like, they've been doing this for centuries.
Like, yeah, you still have okay.
Very odd. Like, at least like scissors and like cut the shirt open. Like, I mean, EMTs do that.
You're
like,
dulling your scalpel. You shouldn't use the same scalpel on fabric that you use on flesh. Duh.
Obviously. But Dean easily breaks free from his hand constraints and headbutts Monroe, slices Eli's throat, and stabs a syringe into the nurse.
Yeah, because the nurse like went after Dean with a syringe for some reason, and that backfired on her. And
so Dean gets Monroe in a headlock and tells him, "You took something from me. Now I'm going to take everything from you."
And then Monroe is like, "I will monologue until I die." Yeah. And Dean breaks his neck.
Yep. And he leaves the lab because everybody in there's dead. In the meantime,
well, they do a real. And I like this scene. Yeah, the cut right. Dean kicks a door open of the lab, and that
out
of the lab, and that goes into smoke. And then you cut to another haze of smoke, and you see Eldon's gun walking into what we realize is the bunker. And then we realize that they have entered the fortress by blowing open the door. And I'm like, men of letters, what the fuck? What kind of wording is this? Like, it's supposed to be the super secret place. And I know they were inside it, but you would think that you couldn't just blow the door of the bunker open.
Right. It's not a very good bunker if you can do that.
No.
So Eldon, Cyrus, and another Stein, Roscoe.
Yeah, until I know him, I call him Gorilla Stein.
Okay. I think mine's Big Dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have broken into the bunker, and they're calling out to make sure no one's there. And Eldon instructs them to take whatever looks interesting and burn the rest.
No, not the knowledge.
Don't do that. So Sam is leaving the warehouse where Crowley left him and calls Rowena and says it didn't work. And and she, it doesn't anyway, so he's asking her how to kill him. And she's like, what? No, you've got to go. You've got to do this. You've got to go get it done. Just get it done. Figure it out. Get it done.
Figure it out, Sam. I am Rowena. You are Sam. You figure out how to kill my son because I am a witch. So let's talk about another witch. See how I did that? So we're going to have a little bit of lore here. This was the last time we saw Rowena in this episode. So we're going to talk about the Witch of King's Cross. This is continuing. And lore. So when we last left off with Rosaleen Norton, the Witch of King's Cross, it was 1955. And two men, Francis Frank Horner and Raymond Ray Ager, had snuck into a party at her house and stolen a roll of film that was hidden to try and make a quick buckaroo. I imagine that is what they say in Australia. So Frank and Ray tried to sell the undeveloped film, Filthy Pictures. I have it spelled out filthy with F-E-E-L-T-H-Y, so just imagine Australian saying that. Okay. And so they tried to sell these filthy pictures to the Sun, a tabloid, for 200 pounds. However, when the editor had the pictures developed, he declared them too hot to be published. Instead, he sent them to the New South Wales police, and they were also hoping to be profiting off the scandal that would elicit from the pictures, right? He wasn't just like, I'm sending them because these are, immoral. It was, I want the scandal that comes from this. So Vice had no trouble recognizing Rosaleen Norton and her boyfriend Gavin Greenlees in the lurid photographs. But first, before they even did anything with that, they went and arrested Frank and Ray for trying to sell the pictures. So the guys that were trying to make the money off the pictures got sent to 6 months in jail for trying to sell them. So don't sneak into people's houses and sell their personal pictures and try and make money off of them because you end up in jail. So the Vice Squad, after doing that, Detective Trevenor and Detective Hayes then raided Rosaleen's flat to arrest her and Gavin. But Rowie was off visiting her sister in Kirribilli because no place in Australia could have a normal sounding name that doesn't sound silly. So she went to Kirribilli, and so they only were able to get Gavin. According to Detective Trevenor, Gavin had severely overgrown fingernails and toenails that had a pound of dirt under them. So that's really gross. And he asked if he could shave his beard before they took him to the station. And he said he went to a hand basin and just put cold water on his face and then just basically dry shaved with a disposable razor, cutting into his face as like blood just came and just like was like, la la. Yeah, I know. So that was disturbing. Yeah. So Broey wasn't there because she was at her sister. So she was arrested 2 days later, and it was all over the papers. They were charged with what most newspapers said were morality charges or of doing an unnatural act. But in reality, they were actually charged with making an obscene publication and the abominable crime of buggery, which was very unusual for a woman to be accused of. That is something that's or charged with, right? That law was outlined in Section 79 of the New South Wales Crime Act 1900, which we keep bringing up through this. That was their main penal code in New South Wales. And each state in Australia had their own, right? And so that act said anyone who commits the abominable crime of buggery or bestiality with mankind or with any animal shall be liable to imprisonment for 14 years. In 1951, it was amended by Justice Minister Reg Downing to clarify that it was an offense regardless of whether or not consent was given. In 1981, Australia, I think it was New South Wales. So New South Wales passed the Crime Sexual Assault Act Amendment, and that was in order to try and like help women out. But what that did was it changed the maximum penalty for sexual assault, regardless of gender, to 7 years. So now with that other law still on the book, that meant if you had non-consensual anal sex, you got 7 years. So if you force someone to have anal sex, you got 7 years. And if you had consensual anal sex, you got 14 years. So yeah, laws are great. So that law was on the books until 1984 when the Crimes Amendment Act was passed and homosexuality was decriminalized. FYI, Texas still maintains an unenforceable sodomy law, such as in section 21.06 from the Penal Code, the repeal of which just passed the Texas House and is on its way to the Texas Senate. So just an interesting fact about, well, and that's what
it's because it's because the way our government's written, you have to, like, it's in there even though it's not really a law anymore. You just can't.
Well, it's the same thing. It's decriminalized, but they still haven't removed it from the books because
they have to pass a law to literally do the text the way our Constitution's written.
Yeah, and it has not passed every time it's come up. So they're trying again, and it's passed the House, and we'll see if it goes through the Senate. So, but like the reason I was saying that was like Australia, like that's a state law that is superseded by the national law, and that is what happened in New South Wales, right? When it was decriminalized because there was a national law that superseded a state law. Yeah. So Australia and US, some things are similarly bad, I guess. So both Rosaleen and Gavin were charged on October 3rd, 1955. Gavin also received another charge for vagrancy because, of course, he still didn't have a job. And they were allowed £100 bail, despite the prosecutor suggested that they be refused. Rosaleen requested a remand until November due to a legal reason, and she had a summons matter, and I think that was for the Kashmir obscenity case, because they were arrested right after Anna Hoffman's thing, like a couple of days after Anna Hoffman went to court for her saying, like, y'all have the black masses stuff. And because this trial then for this new obscenity and buggery charges, they were those court cases were going at the same time, right? So she had the Kashmir Cafe with the paintings was also having the trial at this time. So she's just in and out of court. So they were said, like, no, you can't have that because it's just a summons manner. So they were remanded until October 20th. But when that day came, Gavin was not in court because he had been committed to an institution by the Lunacy Court. Well, that's a great court.
The Lunacy Court.
The Lunacy Court. So he was admitted to Callan Park Hospital, which eventually became Callan Park Mental Asylum, and then something else, and then now it's just a haunted, abandoned place. So he was there and he was diagnosed as schizophrenic who had voices endlessly tormenting and ridiculing him. According to the hospital superintendent, Gavin was also obsessed with sex and wanted to escape from the real world. He would hide in the corner of the room with books on the occult and would only be aroused to action by constant prodding. And I'm saying, hey, that's not a sign that you're insane if you just want to sit in the corner and read your books on occult and don't want to do other stuff. Sometimes people just want to sit in the corner and read their books on magic, all right? So maybe hearing the voices ridiculing you, that's another thing, but okay. So not only was Gavin absent from court, but so was Rosaleen, who, according to Dr. S.J. Minot, I think Kylie Minogue's father, probably not. So he said that she was suffering from the effects of drugs, chiefly dexedrine and methadone, and was incapable of sustained concentration. So the court date was pushed back. And this is also something to comment on Gavin's mental health. Like, they did a lot of fucking drugs. And so he already had mental health problems, and then probably doing a shit ton of amphetamine and opioids. Probably weren't doing help. And hallucinogens probably weren't doing great for the voices in his head. So
were the voices hallucinating too, is the question.
Where are the voices hallucinating? The other voices, right? Probably that's when you ask your friend tell you that do not let you go downstairs and tell your parents and take you to the hospital because the acid trip will end soon. Yeah. All right. So the case finally goes to court in November of 1956. Rosaleen dressed in what was described as flamboyant attire. She wore a red skirt, a black top, and leopard print shoes. Ooh, it sounds adorable.
So flamboyant.
And like something I have probably worn many times. So they go in and they start asking her about the photos. First, she says that they were from a 1953 birthday party. Detective Trevenor then testified that she had told them that they'd been taken in 1955, but she refused to name the camera person. During court, Rosaleen said the photos had been taken during a ceremony of worship of the Greek mythological figure of Pan and not during a witchcraft ritual. The detective confirmed that Greenlees was dressed in ceremonial garb in several of the photographs. The detective would later tell the Australian crime writer Ned McCann more graphic details about the pictures. And y'all skip 30 seconds ahead if you don't want to hear these graphic pictures, because they're going to get graphic for a second. All right. In one, he said Gavin was putting a soft drink bottle inside of Rowie. Inside of. Not, yeah. In another, she was lying nude on a bench with Gavin standing over her with a coin in his hand, and he was trying to put that in the slot. That euphemism. He was flagellating her with an electric cord, making out that he was kicking her and that you could see the marks on her body. And remember, Rowie has said before, and other that she was into BDSM before this, but she still claims this was part of the magic act, right? And other photos. So the public wouldn't be able to see any of these pictures until 2004 when the ABC show Rewind aired some. And they did show her bound by wrists and ankles to a pedestal while Gavin was flagellating her. Other photos showed Gavin performing oral and anal sex on her. Right. So, but even though these photos were there, they were acquitted of these charges. When the detective said he had spoken to the jury, even though they told me not to do that, he was such a dick. But that the jury had said that they just didn't think they could convict a woman of that. So, they were acquitted. Gavin was acquitted under the condition that his parents take him back to the mental hospital. And I can hear you, dear listener, saying, Liz, is this the sex magic you were promising? Because this doesn't sound very sex magic-y. And I'm like, no, because I left out another part of what was happening during that year. Because you see, back when Frank and Ray went to the Sun News, the story caught the ear of their senior crime reporter, Joe Morris. So he went to Rowie's flat 2 days after these pictures were brought to the detective's place. And he went over there to say hello. And then while he was off making tea, he was like, let's see what else is in this magic couch. And he reached in there and he pulled out a stack of letters between Rosaleen and a person who we will reveal next week in our finale of The Witch of King's Cross. And he's sex magic. Cliffhanger. So next week we will have lore and the finale trivia. It's going to be a showstopper extravaganza, which is why we apologize for this episode coming out a day late. You're going to get a lot more next week, but whatever. It was a holiday weekend. Fuck off.
It happens.
Come back. Yeah. Don't fuck off. Stay here. All right. So let's go back so now we have left Rowena for this episode, and we are back to Cass.
And he is at the Stein lab looking at the aftermath of Dean killing a bunch of folks and on the phone with Sam saying that there's bodies down here, more than a dozen upstairs, and he has killed everyone brutally. But apparently he's headed home now.
Dean is coming home.
He is solved, I guess. So at the bunker, Cyrus is looking at the books because he wants to read about them, especially the one about the exorcism. He's excited.
Yeah, there are books everywhere on the floor. They're just like pull, don't treat books like that. And yeah, the Practitioner's Guide to Exorcism. And then Gorilla Stein comes in and he was like, this ain't a damn library.
Kind of technically it is, but okay. And he's like, bring it or box it or burn it.
Because it is your first rodeo. And he was like, well, I go check out their sex dungeon, which I'm assuming is the file room.
Yeah. And Cyrus calls him a douche. And he finds a photo of Sam, Dean, and Bobby and gets like, I don't know, like.
It sparks something. It makes
something emotional about it. Eldon enters and he's got a box. And he says.
He just reads Dean Winchester.
Yeah, he's like, it looks like records with crappy taste in music. And that includes him talking shit about Motorhead, which is not cool. But then he's like, he's got a hot mom because he sees a photo of Mary. And then he loves flannel. And then he puts it in the burn pile. Cyrus is kind of trying to stop him. He's like, we don't have to do this. And he's like, Eldon's like, we don't have to, we get to. So
and then he pours gasoline all over the books, and even though I know they're not going to light them on fire as he pulls a match out, he's still ruining the books because you can't take gasoline.
It's very sad. Very sad. No, don't burn the books. But
don't cover them in fluids.
That too. Roscoe, our giant Stein, stumbles back into the room, and he has a knife in his bag. What? What is happening here? Oh, guess what? Dean's there, and he's covered in blood.
Because nobody can change their fucking shirts in this episode. He just drove from Louisiana to Kansas.
Covered in blood.
Also, that just seems and dry.
It seems very sus. Like, what if you got pulled over? Could you not? What if
you
had to stop and pee?
Did you not have to get gas? Like, I don't want to be the person at the gas station just being like, what the...
How do you not buy road snacks? I don't know how this works.
Well, I think the mark doesn't make him like snacky.
That's
I
true.
think like it's killing his snack vibe, because if he wouldn't be murdery if he had snacks. Yeah. Like I mean some people, but I'm like, I'm not going to eat a ho-ho and then go out and kill somebody. Just don't do that. So then Eldon like taunts him about Charlie, which just is not smart.
Nope. And he's still gonna monologue, and Dean just stares at him, and then finally is like, by the way, everyone's dead. So you can just spare me the speech, okay?
And I don't give a shit about your 7 nipples for the ladies or the fellas. I don't judge.
He still only have one brain, and Eldon's like, so? And Dean shoots him in the head. It's actually really good.
Yeah, which is also like, sometimes this is why you shouldn't monologue, bad guys, because it gives people time to shoot you between the eyes.
No shit. I was like, ugh. So Eldon's dead, and Dean points the gun at Cyrus, and Cyrus is asking Dean not to shoot him. He says, I hate my family. I don't have any stitches. I'm not like them. And Dean's like, nope, bad's in your blood. It always will be, and it'll always win. And Cyrus begging for his life, and it's really sad.
Yeah, and you can hear someone's heart beating, and you can't tell if it's Cyrus's or Dean's, and I like that little tension it added. And then he shoots this poor kid between the eyes. What the fuck, Dean?
It's very upsetting. Very
upsetting.
Cass
comes in, and he's also very upset. He's like, what have you done? What you done, boyfriend?
And as and Sam is driving into, and Dean's like, I took down a monster. That's what I do. And I'm just going to continue until I can't, basically, but he stops. And Cass is like, until you become the monster.
Ma!
And he tells Cass to leave. And Cass is like, I'm not. I'm your friend. I'm not going to leave. And he's like, really? Did you screw over all of your friends? Because that's what you did to me. By trying to cure me, that's what you did. You screwed everybody over. And Cass is like, look, we can read the book now, so we can take the mark off. So it's okay. I know it sucks, but it's going to be okay. And Dean's like, no, but at what cost? Magic like that isn't free. And he's going to leave. But Castiel doesn't want to. He's like, maybe you can fight that mark for years, even centuries, like Cain could, but you will, eventually it's going to turn you. And when it does, everyone else that you know might be long dead, but except for me, and I'll be the one that has to watch you murder the world. It's changing you, and no, you shouldn't have. Dean wouldn't have murdered that kid.
Yeah, and then Dean says that Dean has always been kind of a dick. So we have more Winchester self-hating, like his demon side is also his internal hatred of himself, and so we have that thing happening. And then Cass is just like, Dean, I don't want to hurt you, and Dean's like, well, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you and make everybody really uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. And they fight, and
it sucks.
And Dean, so they fight, and Dean's
and it's the reverse,
bloodying up Castiel.
Yeah, it's like the reverse of the scene in season 5 when Cass beat up Dean, and or whatever that was. So it's still just it's always stressful when you see one of the trio, turn against each other. But this is just, it's so brutal.
It's sad too. It's like this extra layer of intense and sad and upsetting, all the things. And he gets an angel blade, and Dean's about to freaking pretend like he acts like he's about to stab Castiel, and he stabs the blade into a book next to Cass's head. And
ruining more books. Like, we didn't have enough books that were ruined, Dean. You gotta put a fucking angel blade in one. And then like he just stomps out. You and Sam, stay the hell away from me. Next time, I won't miss. I am Batman. And then he leaves. And fuck.
Yeah,
leaves poor Cass on the ground.
Yeah, it's awful. Awful.
So who's the cast?
So our cast this week, we just have a few folks to mention.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
We met Cyrus Stein, played by Connor Price. He's been in episodes of Alphas, Being Human, CSI Vegas, The Rookie, and Tracker. He was also Jay in Cinderella Man.
That's new.
Mm-hmm. Young Charlie in the movie Good Luck Chuck, and he was Freddy in the movie Carrie, the 2013 edition. Roscoe, aka Gorilla Stein, aka Big Dude. It was played by Josh Emerson. He's been in episodes of Aliens in America, Hellcat, CSI New York, and NCIS. He was also in Jennifer's Body and The Tooth Fairy. Our sheriff, Landis, was played by Sean Campbell. He's in multiple episodes of Supernatural. He was in episodes of MacGyver, True Calling, Tin Man, Fringe, Once Upon a Time, iZombie, and X-Files. He was a captain in Flight 93, a fire captain in Flight 93 film, a police officer in Sucker Punch, and was in a character in the bar in Man of Steel. And last from our cast list tonight is Seth, that pours that mean cup of coffee, played by Nathan Dales. Yes, you may have seen him in episodes of Tower Prep, Fringe, and iZombie, but we know and love him as Daryl in Letterkenny.
That is Daryl from Letterkenny. So good. So good.
Yeah, so good.
A young Daryl.
Yeah. There we go.
So besides that surprise, most of this episode was very disturbing.
I know. Oh, so disturbing.
You're like, okay, so we've killed Charlie. We set her on fire. She had her hunter's funeral, which means, she's not going to be coming back, theoretically. Right. And now we have Cass being beaten to the inch of his life.
Yeah, and Dean getting meaner and meaner, and now Crowley's got red eyes. I don't know what that means.
Crossroads Demons had red eyes, but also King of Hell.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, he got mean. Mean is my point, I guess.
Crowley got his groove back.
Yeah. So, there we go. Yeah. Crowley gets his groove back.
Crowley gets his groove back.
You're very excited about that, I can tell.
Yeah. It was like this, we have, obviously we've had the Crowley storyline of the humanity going through, kind of wussing out. Yeah. He's been kind of trying to going through his mid-hell crisis, trying to figure out, who am I? What kind of leader am I? How do I run my minions? So then his mom comes in and fucks everything up. And then he just has to remember, what his true identity is, and once you start living for yourself, I feel like that's when you live your best life, right?
Sure.
When your authentic self, that's what they say.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's on a TikTok somewhere. Anyway, so next week will be our season finale. What are your predictions for what will happen in the season finale? Because I love how wrong you are every time. So predict what you think will happen.
I mean, look, I am going to say that, we've killed our Steins, so they are not, we made it clear, after having them for a couple episodes, so it's clear they're not the big bad, even though they were a huge catalyst to the storyline. They're going to figure something out with the book and the mark. And Dean's going to be pissed. I know that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I don't know what. Other than that, I don't know. I feel like I might be right on that. But it's very upsetting, though. I think Sam and Cass are going to keep conspiring without talking to Dean. And that's not going to help anything. But now Dean's not going to talk to them anyways.
What? They're not going to learn communication skills over the next...
Oh, God, it's so painful.
They don't go to therapy between now and the season finale, I don't think. But sure maybe they do.
No.
This episode is sponsored to you by BetterHelp.
All
right. So what will happen next week? Will Liz finally end the story of Rosaleen Norton? Will Diana study before her season 10 trivia?
Nope.
Will Dean Winchester turn black-eyed and blue again? I don't know what it is. All right. Tune in next time. Cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.